What's up, y'all? What's up? What's up? This is Marcus Frazier from Teachable Tuesday, here to motivate you, encourage you, inspire you to be a better you. Thank you for joining me today. Greatly appreciate it. If you could, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button to stay up to date with all my Teachable Tuesday videos. And without further ado, this topic actually came inspired by a conversation that I was having with a very great individual. And we had a little bit of it wasn't really a debate, but just, a talk about sides of the spectrum when it comes to this topic. And the topic is going to be, should you continue to communicate with your exes after the dating process is finished? Meaning you guys have broken up, things didn't work out, maybe it ended on a bad note, maybe it didn't end on such a bad note, maybe it's something that you guys came to a conclusion of, it's just not going to work out and we're going to go our separate ways, right? Should you still communicate with your ex? Now, I've seen a lot of times, and I used to do this all the time myself, where people would enter into a relationship with someone, a romantic relationship. Things didn't work out. It could have been one person's side or it could have been both sides coming to a conclusion that, they could no longer move forward. And they would still be friends with them, quote unquote, right? Well, here's my viewpoint on this. And this might ruffle some feathers, so just a little bit of a warning. But this is my opinion. This is my viewpoint. This is my stance. If you agree or disagree, leave a comment below. Tell me why, and we'll kind of go from there. All right? I do not believe under any circumstances that you should be friends with an ex, even if you guys ended on a good note. And I'm going to tell you why. I've discussed this in my shorts videos before, but I never went into full detail like I'm about to right now. An ex is an ex for a reason. That doesn't mean they're a bad person. It doesn't mean that they're this horrible an individual. Although there are some individuals, some of y'all out there have had exes where they did y'all dirty. And I'm sorry about that. It's happened to me before, so I get the feeling. But sometimes things just don't work out between you and an individual. You guys see a future initially at first, and it doesn't exactly go as planned. The thing about it is, right, there are certain boundaries in life that once you cross, you can't go back. Now, for all of y'all that's thinking, oh, yes, we can. If we built the friendship before, getting into a relationship, we can always go back to that friendship. Not quite. Because there were feelings and there were things that happened during the process of that relationship that you can't just undo. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think, oh, I could just fix this and it'll just go back to normal. That's not how it works. Once you get into a romantic relationship with somebody, there are certain levels that you unlock. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like a video game. It's like a save progress, but it's different. It's like, hey, once you enter this room, you cannot return where you come from. So if you lose, that's it. It's just over. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's a very eerie way of looking at it, but that's the risk that you take when you get in a romantic relationship with anybody, especially someone that you consider a good friend. Now, I do believe that some of the best romantic relationships do start off as friendships. How do I know? I've had two of them that the relationship went very well. It's just at the end, things didn't ultimately work out. But, even with those individuals, am I cordial with them? Yes. Can you be cordial with an ex? Yes. Should you date an ex? Not date an ex, sorry. Should you be buddy-buddy with an ex after you break up with them? No. And here's another reason why. I want you to think about how your partner would feel afterwards, right? Now, this part is a little more geared towards my ladies than my fellas. Although my fellas, you can listen out for this too, because you might want to peep this. You might say, well, I can still be friends with that individual. But here's the deal with that. How would your partner feel about that? Would your partner feel comfortable with you consistently communicating with someone that you once had a connection with? And I get it. That person might be engaged. That person might be married. Or that person might be in a very much committed relationship with somebody else. I get that. However, even though you're thinking nothing may be happening, because that connection and the seeds were planted, there's always a possibility that when you are still communicating with that person, you keep that door open. Ladies, a lot of times you might not want to admit this, but this is a fact, right? Because most men that I know will not be friends with an ex. They'll be cordial, but they won't be friends. If they keep them around as friends, it's a good chance that they're still doing things with them or thinking about doing things with them, even if they're not saying it. Now, as much as you guys might want to say that this is false, this is actually very true, okay? And the same thing for the ladies, right? It goes on both sides. So even though I know a lot of people in the comments are probably going to disagree with this, it's just you shouldn't leave that door open. You got to have respect enough to know that, hey, my future partner might not like this. My mindset I'm always thinking about is if I go the distance with a woman, right? And we end up getting in a very much serious long-term relationship that may eventually lead to marriage, or even if it doesn't lead to marriage, just a very serious relationship in general, I want to make sure I'm respecting her. I don't want to put her in an uncompromising situation because I'm all about being transparent. I'm all about being honest. Now, once again, can you be cordial with an ex? Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. We friends on Facebook, we friends on, Instagram, whatever, cool. I see that you have a birthday. Happy birthday. I see you got a child, you got married. Hey, congratulations. I wish you absolutely well. But we are not buddy-buddy. Here's another perspective I want you to look at, right? Because it was one thing, and the person I was talking to said something very interesting, which I partially agree with. They said that a person shouldn't lose their value just because they no longer hold their position in my life. That position in my life. Very true. I agree. We don't undervalue individuals, especially when they're great individuals. Even when they're not great individuals, we still don't undervalue them. We still should respect them respectfully, as long as we're respecting ourselves, of course. But just because they don't lose their value doesn't mean they don't lose their position. Bottom line is their pole position is gone. See, the way I look at life is every man and every woman has a hierarchy of things they should consider a priority, right? Me as a man, I'm going to tell you my top 4 easily, right? If I was in a relationship. If I was in a romantic relationship with a woman, here would be my top 4 things that would be priority. Ready? Yahweh, he's my number 1. Number 2 would be myself / my purpose. Number 3 would be my family, because I'm believing family over everything except God, and myself. I probably should add to that. And number 4 would be my woman, right? If I was in a romantic relationship, that's how my priority lines would work. Now, some of y'all thinking, well, Marcus, what about your family? Until that woman becomes my wife, she is under my family. Once she becomes my wife, she shifts up to number 3. And she can be number 2 and number 3 interchangeably, because when you're married or even in a relationship, sacrifices should be involved. Sometimes you're going to put your partner above yourself to make sure that they're good, and they should do the same thing for you, vice versa. You know what I'm saying? But that's besides the point. I'm not going to get into logistics too deep. The whole point that I'm making is there's a hierarchy and there's a race. Once things don't work out between us, you are no longer in that race. I can still respect you from the sideline. You can still cheer me on. I still cheer you on. But you no longer are considered a priority. You know what I'm saying? And I got to be respectful and make sure I don't put my partner in an uncompromising position to make them feel some type of way, or that they would have me feel some type of way. Now, a lot of ladies might be thinking, when fellas say this, oh, it gives me insecure vibes. No, it doesn't. It actually gives very secure vibes, and I'm going to tell you why. Especially when a man is upfront and telling you how he feels about it and he stands on his stance. Because a man or woman that stands on their stance is a very powerful thing. But also, to add on to that, ladies, let me ask you guys a question. Wouldn't you rather have a man that would be upfront with you and let you know that, hey, this is something I don't agree with, as opposed to someone who's going to not stand on his stance? Because, I'm assuming my ladies that are watching this, you want somebody that can lead and provide, right? So a part of being a leader is someone that stands on his or her stance and they stick to it, right? Because I want you to think about all the guys that agree with you being friends with their exes. Where are they at now? I'm not saying this is always the case. There's always exceptions to the rule, but remember, the exception does not equal the rule within itself. And fellas, same thing goes for you. If your lady don't feel comfortable with an ex that you used to vibe with, you need to listen to her, bruh. Because by you not listening to her, you are not being attentive of her needs. Just saying. You got to be very careful when you're in that situation. Now, if that's something that you're not willing to go along with, I think you need to tell that person up front so that way that person can move on. And hey, it's no hard feelings. We just have two different stances. Again, for some people, this might be a hard no. For me, I wouldn't say this is a hard no, but this is a very close to being hard no. Like, again, I'm okay with you being cordial. I'm not okay with a woman necessarily communicating with the ex consistently, especially when we get into a serious relationship. Now, if we're not in a serious relationship, you do what you do. But if we are entering that level of going the distance, that's something that you just got to respect. You know what I'm saying? And again, for my fellas, the same. I know I've been talking to ladies a lot in this video, but the same thing goes for y'all. If you can't respect an individual and their stances and their wishes, then by all means, that means you shouldn't be entertaining that individual, right? I get it. A person that you were once involved with will always have a special place in your life to some degree, right? There was a point in time where that individual was of high priority. I completely understand that. But you got to learn to understand where to let the chips fall as they may. It didn't work out. It ain't no hard feelings, no love lost. But if I see a future with somebody and that's something that they don't agree with, I need to respect their stance on it. You know what I'm saying? And that's not being insecure, ladies. It's not a man being insecure. It's a man understanding how a man operates and knowing what's up. Fellas, it's not a woman nagging you. It's her letting you know that she knows how women operate and you need to pay attention to her needs. All right? Ultimately, regardless if you are a man or a woman, this boils down to the needs of an individual and the respect. And if the needs are not being met and the respect is not being given, you are already failing at the relationship. All right? So that's just my stance. Wrap it all up. No, I do not believe that you should be friends with an ex. Do I believe you could be cordial? Yes. Do I believe that that person should lose value as a person just because you guys broke up? No. But do I believe they lose their position? Absolutely. And when you lose your position, I got to consider somebody else who's in that position that you were once in and consider their needs because their needs go higher. Even if we were friends for 10 years and I'm dating a woman and we've been dating only for a year seriously, if I see a future with her, sorry about that. If I see a future with her, then that means I need to consider her needs above your needs, no matter how cool we were. And because I say this, it has nothing to do with longevity. It has nothing to do with loyalty. It has more so to do with who is worth the better investment. I'm not saying friends are not worth an investment, but once I told you before, and I'll say it again, when you cross that line with an individual romantically, you can't go back to that. And even the investments that I have in my friends, my wife, if she is to be my wife one day, is going to have the higher level of investment compared to my friends, because that is the woman that I am going to build with. That is the woman that God has called me to lead. That is the woman that God has called me to love. That is the woman that God will pretty much see me as being responsible for, to make sure that she is being led in the right direction, that she is being loved properly, because the Bible talks about husbands love your wives as Christ loved the church. You know what I'm saying? That's an important factor. So there ain't gonna be too many things that come above that. And that includes anybody that used to hold that position, but unfortunately did not make it to that statue. All right? Just some things to keep in mind. I'm gonna get off this because I could talk about this all day long. But anyways, leave a comment. Let me know if you agree or disagree. If I left any points out,